I don't like not having the volume thing.
Very abrupt ending there. But hello. Yes, you can see half of Corey. I'm Marty Pallman. We are here tonight from Before Brady's and Stark as normal. We're a little late tonight. We apologize. We'll be here, though, after 10 o'clock tonight. The high school show started a little bit late because of technical issues. And that's why we're both sitting here on this one computer and both in the same screen. So having some issues with that tonight. But here we are, live from Before Brady's and Stark, the college football Gridiron Report. And another big week in college football. Corey, last week, I guess there were some surprises at the top, especially in the top 10 part. I think maybe the biggest one came in Oregon, where Indiana went in there and beat Oregon. And the Indiana Hoosiers are now ranked number 3. They're unbeaten. And what a win for them against a previously unbeaten Oregon team.
Yeah, I heard this scenario today that Indiana could run the table, play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, then end up playing each other in the playoff game.
Yeah.
How cool would that be to have that matchup twice?
That's going to be the game now with them beating Oregon. It's going to show where Indiana is against Ohio State. And Ohio State got a win on the road at Illinois. They just kind of keep rolling. And Illinois, too many mistakes in that game. So they remain number 1. Miami had a bye last week. Meanwhile, another tough week for Florida and FSU. FSU goes down at home to Pitt. They have lost 3 in a row after a 3-0 start. They're 0-3 in the ACC. Mike Norvell is back on the hot seat. Speaking of hot seats, and Gainesville just continues for Billy Napier. Florida, in the first quarter, comes out, scores 14 points. They're right in the ball game, and then it's 14 on. After that, they scored 3 points. And basically got blown out of Kyle Field 34-17. They were dominated, especially on the lines again. Kind of was like the Miami game. And A&M is just a really good defensive team. Florida's 2-4, going home for Mississippi State and homecoming this week. And this is basically, as far as I can tell, if Florida loses this game, I think Billy Napier is gone by Sunday.
Well, there was a story on the AP Wire today. We ran it in our paper tomorrow. If Florida wins, he will likely be fired this weekend.
Florida loses.
Yeah,
and they might get fired if they win. That's possible. Because I don't even know if beating Mississippi State.
If they only win 3-0, yeah, he might get fired.
I don't even know if beating Mississippi State's going to be enough. But I guess it depends, because after that, of course, they get Georgia and Tennessee, FSU, Ole Miss in that last part of the schedule. But we'll see what happens, as Florida's now halfway through their season as well. But looking around the region, here are the teams that are bowl-bound. Well, we said Memphis the week before was the first of 68 teams to clinch a bowl bid. Several more joining them this past weekend, including BYU. What a come-from-behind win against Arizona in OT. Great ball game. Georgia Tech. How about the Yellow Jackets are bowl-eligible, 6-0. They're ranked 12th now, as they took care of Virginia Tech, so they get bowl-eligible. Indiana, we mentioned them, but they went at Oregon, unbeaten. Navy is 6-0. Navy having a really good year again. Ohio State, unbeaten. They're already bowl eligible. Ole Miss, yeah, they struggled with Washington State, though. Only won by 3.
Yeah.
A little bit of probably a look ahead to maybe Georgia this week, because that's going to be a huge game in Athens on Saturday. But A&M, Texas A&M, still unbeaten as well. They're in the top 5 now after their win over Florida. Texas Tech just keeps rolling over Kansas. And how about this one? UNLV. Dan Mullen.
Yep.
6-0. They have been getting by with hardly any defense, really, but they're outscoring their opponents with their schedule. They have Boise this week. They can win that game. They might have a 12-0 regular season, the way things are going there, because their schedule kind of is not great after that. But Boise this week, probably their biggest test in the regular season. So those teams are already bowl eligible. Meanwhile, Pink Slips, yes, more coaching changes. UAB says goodbye to Trent Dilfer. You might know that name. As the longtime quarterback in the NFL with the Bucks, the Ravens, played for different teams, played at Fresno State, had a great college career. Didn't last long at UAB. I don't even know if he made it 2 years or 3, 2.5 maybe at UAB.
Coached 86 games. So.
Oh, he made it that many games?
Yeah.
Did he really?
I'm sorry. That was the score. I'm sorry. It was only like 2 years.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years. Meanwhile, this one was a little more stunning. Penn State. I mean, basically, we were talking about Penn State when we began as maybe a national champion contender. They lose to Oregon. They go lose to UCLA. They lose to Northwestern on Saturday at home. And then the next day, James Franklin's fired. I mean, the guy had Penn State in the semifinal a year ago, nearly beat Notre Dame there, and he's gone after a 3-3 start. It's pretty – I mean, to me, it's pretty shocking, and it also kind of should prove to Florida that, hey, maybe it's time for you to act, but, we'll see.
Definitely shocking because, I watched the game against Oregon. I did not watch the UCLA and the Northwestern game, but, there's no excuse to lose to Northwestern. I know Northwestern's 4-2, but and UCLA too. I mean, I know UCLA fired their coach, but they're struggling too. So they should have won the last 2 games.
UCLA has won 2 in a row now since they fired Sean Foster. They won big at Michigan State over the weekend. And as you look at that, you mentioned Trent Dilfer released after a 53-33 loss to FAU. UAB's 2-4 and 0-3 in Conference USA. So they take care of they get to give Trent Dilfer his pink slip there at UAB. So Penn State looking for a coach. Where is James Franklin going to end up? I guess we'll find out. Other coaches, of course, already, or other schools that have let their coaches go: Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Oregon State, Stanford, Virginia Tech, and UCLA. Arkansas actually looked pretty good against Tennessee last week. Nearly won that game in Knoxville in Bobby Petrino's first game there. All right, and there's 11 teams, just 11 teams undefeated. BYU still unbeaten after rallying to win at Arizona in OT. Georgia Tech, and they have a huge game at Duke this week. That might be the winner of that. Probably is playing for the ACC title. Both those teams are unbeaten in the ACC. Indiana, they're undefeated. Memphis still unbeaten. Miami, who had a bye week, 2 bye weeks around the Florida State game, win there. Navy, they're still unbeaten. Ohio State, Ole Miss, Texas A&M. We mentioned these already bowl eligible. Texas Tech and UNLV. So those teams are all undefeated. Still. So only 11 teams left unbeaten.
And there's, I think I saw this today, there are 3 teams winless.
Sam Houston's one of them, right?
And, well, they're one AA.
Oh, they're still 1 AA.
I'm sorry, they're not 1 AA.
Yeah, but I thought they were FBS. 1A.
I don't remember exactly who they were, but interesting that you have 11 teams that haven't lost and 3 that have not won a game.
Right. So, all right, let's take a look at the ACC. Georgia Tech, ranked 13th, now ranked number 12, defeated Virginia Tech 35-20. I didn't realize this. They honored the 1990 national champions for the game. 35 years now. Wow, it's hard to believe. I remember going to the Citrus Bowl against Nebraska to see it that year, but when they won. But Yellow Jackets go to 6-0. This might be their best team since 1990. And 3-0 in the ACC. They remain unbeaten with a win over Virginia Tech. This says Hunter King, but Haynes King, 20-24, 213 yards. And he rushed for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns. Malachi Hosley had 11 for 129 and a touchdown. And Georgia Tech, they roll at home. And as I said, now they've got a big game with Duke coming up. And after that, a few home games. I think Syracuse and Pitt. Obviously, Pitt maybe a little better than I realized. Syracuse is struggling. And then they have Georgia to end the regular season. That's going to be a huge game if both these teams keep winning. That'll be like this year. That game is the Friday after Thanksgiving. They moved it to Friday. Last year was Friday night. I think this year it's Friday afternoon, but it's going to be at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. So, but Georgia Tech looking good. They're rolling right now. SMU, they get a win, 34-10 over Stanford. They're 4-2 and 2-0 in the ACC. They've won 19 straight conference games. They won their last 9 in the American and 10 in a row since joining the ACC. How about that? And Stanford falls to 2-4 and 1-2.
I said this when we first started the show. SMU, even though they lost a lot of players to graduation and maybe a handful to transfer, don't sleep on SMU. They're a sleeper team, even though they were good last year. And everybody talks about Georgia Tech and Duke. SMU kind of still in the mix there for ACC title.
Yeah, they are. And a team that is really not in the mix for the ACC title now is FSU. Pitt, 34-31. Mason Heinschel, 21-29, 321 yards, 2 touchdowns. Desmond Reed, 8 catches, 155 yards, and 2 TDs. Pitt goes to 4-2 and 2-1. FSU falls to 3-3 and 0-3. So Florida State, who was ranked in the top 10 after the Alabama game, is now out of the top 25. Another one of those teams that we saw in the top 10.
Meanwhile, Alabama, who lost to Florida State,
back in the top 8.
has
7.
not lost since.
Yeah, they're back in the top 10.
Yeah.
They're rolling, as you said. But 385 days since FSU's last ACC win, September 12th, 2024 over Cal. See if they can get one at Stanford this Saturday night. They got to make a long trip out west, but Stanford's definitely a game. If they don't win that game, that might be the end of Mike Norvell, honestly. But as well, Notre Dame, no problem with NC State, 36-7 as they begin another ACC clash for the Irish. They're 4-2, 4 wins in a row since they started 0-2. CJ Carr, 19-31, 342 yards, 2 touchdowns for the 16th ranked Irish. NC State 4-3 now. Wake Forest, boy, Oregon State's terrible. Wake Forest goes to Oregon State, wins 39-14. Deacons now 4-2. Oregon State's 0-7. Clemson's starting to turn it around a little bit as they go up to BC Saturday night and win 41-10. Cole Klubnik, 22 of 30 for 280 yards and a touchdown. Clemson now has won 2 in a row in the ACC after an 0-2 start. They're 3-3 and 2-2 in the conference. BC 1-5 and 0-4. All right, let's move to the Big Ten. On Friday night, Washington defeating Rutgers 38-19. They got down 10-0 early and then came back to win that game in Seattle. Damon Williams Jr., 21-27, 402 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and rushed for 136 yards. Boy, big night for him. And the Huskies go to 5-2, 2-1. Rutgers 3-3 and 0-3 in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I remember the Huskies a couple years ago. They were undefeated. They went to the championship game or semifinals?
Washington went to the championship game.
They lost to Michigan, wasn't it?
Yeah, with Michael Penix Jr. Yeah. They beat Texas in the semifinal and they lost to Michigan in the championship. Yep. So they've only got 1 loss in Big Ten so far. That was to Ohio State. So speaking of Ohio State, the number 1 team in the nation stays unbeaten. They go to Illinois and beat the 17th ranked Illini 34-16. Ohio State goes to 6-0 and 3-0. Illinois now 5-2, 2-2. Julian Sayin, 2 touchdowns. C.J. Donaldson ran for 2. They say it's Sayin. Okay.
Like I'm just
sometimes
saying.
Sometimes I hear Sayin or something like that. As we said, number 7 Indiana 30, number 3 Oregon 20. Indiana 6-0 and 3-0 in the Big Ten. They go to Eugene and punch the Ducks in the mouth. It's 5-1, 2-1 now.
Punch them right in the bill.
Right in the bill, yes, right, the Duck bill. Fernando Mendoza, 20 of 31, 215 yards and a touchdown. He did throw a pick 6, but made up for it later. Roman Hinby, 19 carries, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dante Moore kind of struggled for Oregon, 21 of 34, 186 yards with a touchdown and 2 picks. But I think the most impressive thing is Indiana going into Altson Stadium and winning that game.
Oh, yeah, that was definitely a huge win for them. And actually, I listened to a guy on Satellite Radio. Do you know that Indiana is the worst college football team of all time?
Record-wise?
They had the most losses.
I believe it.
They're 5 games worse than Northwestern.
Wow. They're worse than Northwestern.
And Oregon
That's
and Oregon
impressive.
State are like in the top 5. I'm trying to Kansas and Kansas State are in the top 5.
Oh, yeah.
And Oregon State are like in the top 20.
Kansas State, before Bill Snyder got there in the late 80s, early 90s, was terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible for many years. Northwestern was pretty much like that until the 90s, too.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's interesting. Indiana has not had a lot of success in football. Kurt Cignetti's a guy that I think Penn State's going to look at. Florida should look at him if they make a change. But he's doing a really good job at Indiana. Big win for USC at home against 15th ranked Michigan, 31-13. Walk-on freshman King Miller, 159 yards and a touchdown. USC is 5-1, 3-1 in the Big Ten, and Michigan falls to 4-2, 2-1 as Michigan goes west and again gets a big loss. They've always had problems out west, especially in the Rose Bowl, and they have a problem this time with USC.
Yep.
Meanwhile, UCLA, they won 2 in a row. They go to Michigan State and blow out the Spartans 38-13 on Saturday. Nico Amaliva was 16 of 24, 180 yards and 3 touchdowns. UCLA now 2-1 in the Big Ten, 2-4 overall. Michigan State 3-3 and 0-3. Northwestern, this was the stunner, and this is what cost James Franklin his job. Northwestern 22, Penn State 21. Northwestern 4-2 now, 2-1 in Big Ten play, and Penn State falls to 3-3 and 0-3, and their season's pretty much over. No chance at the playoff now, no chance at winning the Big Ten, and now they're going to be rolling with an interim coach the rest of this season.
Yeah, very bizarre situation over there in Penn State. We both had Penn State, I think, winning the Big Ten.
Yeah, I tried to
playing
go
for
on
the
that
last
one.
championship.
I was
Whatever.
trying to pick somebody about outside of Ohio State. But
Yeah.
yeah, probably don't need to. And then the other team I had was Texas, and they've started to play better late last week, but back in the rankings after beating Oklahoma. We'll talk about that in a moment. Nebraska, see, they're back and now in the top 25 after this win. They go to Maryland and win 34-31. Dylan Raiola, 28-29, 260 yards, 4 touchdowns. Emmett Johnson, 176 yards rushing. Nebraska's 5-1, 2-1 in the Big Ten. Only lost to Michigan. Maryland falls to 4-2, 1-2. Nebraska will be at Minnesota on Friday night. So another win for the Huskers. And there's another guy, Matt Rule, was being mentioned for Penn State. So
He's a former player, I think, right?
Yeah, he was. And of course, he just is starting to get Nebraska back kind of to being a pretty solid program. So we'll see what happens with that there for Matt Rule in Nebraska. Meanwhile, man, Wisconsin is bad. Iowa 37-0 at Madison over Wisconsin. Xavier Williams, 2 touchdowns rushing. Iowa's 4-2, 2-1. Wisconsin falls to 2-4, 0-3. I'm a little surprised Luke Fickell still has his job at this point. But Heartland Trophy goes back to the Hawkeyes, who blanked the Badgers in Madison. It's been a while since Wisconsin is this bad.
Yeah, you know who that really sucks for is Alabama, because early on you'd say, well, they beat Wisconsin, but now Wisconsin's starting to rack up all the losses.
Right. So anyway, back to what we were saying. Minnesota beat Purdue 27-20. 14 unanswered points, rallying from down 20-13. They go to 4-2 and 2-1. Purdue 2-4 and 0-3. Big 12. Texas Tech still remains unbeaten, ranked number 9. They're going to move up some more as they took care of Kansas.
I'll be right back. Sorry.
That's okay. 42-17. No problem for Texas Tech. Cameron Dickey, 263 yards and 2 touchdowns on 21 carries. As Texas Tech goes to 6-0 and 3-0. Kansas falls to 4-3 and 2-2. Jalen Daniels, 27-33, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns for Kansas. BYU ranked 18th, and again they get a win to stay unbeaten, rallying to beat Arizona 33-27 at Arizona. Remaining unbeaten are the Cougars at 6-0 and 3-0. Arizona falls to 4-2, 1-2. Arizona State going on the road and taking a big loss to Utah, 41-10. Arizona State was ranked 21st. Devin Dampier, 10 carries, 120 yards, 3 touchdowns, 7-12, 104 yards. He actually grew up right down the road from Arizona State. Dampier leads Utah to a 5-1 record, now 2-1 in the Big 12. Arizona State falls to 4-2 and 2-1. Iowa State gets upset again. Second week in a row, they lost at Cincinnati the week before. This week they lose to Colorado, 20-17, 22nd-ranked Cyclones. Deion Sanders' Buffs get their first big win of the season. Caden Salter, 16-25, 255 yards and 2 touchdowns. Colorado now 3-4 and 1-3 in the Big 12. Iowa State falls to 5-2 and 2-2. Houston, they get back on the winning track after their loss to Texas Tech. They beat Oklahoma State 39-17. Houston 5-1, 2-1 in the Big 12. Oklahoma State's 1-5 and 0-3. Kansas State, boy, a team that was really struggling to start the season, starting to get back on track here. They upset TCU in Manhattan. Kansas 41-28. Kansas State 3-4, 2-2. Now in the Big 12, TCU falls to 4-2, 1-2. Cincinnati gets a win at home against UCF. Cincinnati staying in title contention as they beat Iowa State the week before. 20-11 was the score. So Cincinnati goes to 5-1 and 3-0, while UCF still winless in the Big 12, 3-3 and 0-3 in conference play. This is the College Football Talk Gridiron Report. Marty Pallman along with Corey Davis. Corey will be back in a moment. We are with you tonight from Beef O'Brady's in Stark. A little bit behind tonight. Had some technical difficulties before our high school show, which you can see every week from 8 to 9. And we're on with college football every Wednesday night from 9 to 10. Actually, next week, the show will be Monday night, as I'm scheduled to have volleyball, Florida volleyball next Wednesday. So I'll be in Gainesville with a game. So we will do the show Monday night, same time, 8 to 10, 8 to 9 for high school, 9 to 10 for college. And we'll have some Monday night football to talk about. We'll take a look back on this weekend as well. And also, we'll have some big Monday night games. I think the Bucks and Lions are playing that night, so that should be a lot of fun coming up next Monday. And again, tell you about Beef O'Brady's specials every day. $7.99 Burger Mondays. They have the $7.99 Ultimate Taco Tuesdays. 99-cent traditional burger free boneless wing Wednesdays. Tonight, usually $12.99 Steakout Thursdays. $11.49 fish and chips Fridays, $11.99 cheeseburger and wings Saturdays, and a $1.99 kids combo on Sunday. 40 years of beefs located here right off US 301 across from Bradford High School in Stark. Also tell you about their triple meal deals starting at $10.99, starter meal and fries and a fountain drink or iced tea for only $10.99 as well here at Beef O'Brady's. Thank them for allowing us to use the back room here at Beef's in Stark. All right, let's move on to the SEC now, as Corey had to step out. But we start in Auburn. As the Georgia Bulldogs, it looked ugly early. They fell behind 10-0. Actually, Corey wanted to talk about this. Goal line fumble reversed. Auburn was going in to go up 17-0. Looked like they had a touchdown. It was called a fumble. Georgia recovered at the 1. They went down to kick a field goal, make it 10-3 at the half, then came out in the second half, took the lead. Auburn in the second half, only 40 total yards, 3 first downs, 0 of 6 on third down. Jackson Arnold was 5 of 12 for 30 yards. Georgia's defense took over, and Georgia comes back to win 20-10 as Auburn remains winless in the SEC. We'll talk more about that game in a moment. We mentioned Ole Miss, who's ranked number 4. They stay unbeaten, but barely. 24-21 over Washington State, a back-and-forth game there. Washington State now 3-3, Ole Miss 6-0. Trinidad Chambliss 20-29, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kewan Lacey 142 yards rushing for the Rebels, and now this week they will play Georgia in Athens. So a huge game this week. Georgia with the 1 loss in conference to they lose to? Oh, they lost to Alabama. And Ole Miss unbeaten. So big game this week in Athens. Texas A&M, number 5, no problem with the Gators, 34-17. Marcel Reed, 16-26, 234 yards and a score. The Aggies go to 6-0 and 3-0 in the SEC. Florida now 2-4 and 1-2 as Texas A&M dominated the second half and the last 3 quarters of that game. It was tied 14-0 at the end of the first quarter, and then A&M pulled away from there. Well, for Oklahoma, we mentioned coming in that the Red River rivalry, Texas comes in off a loss against Florida. Well, unfortunately for Oklahoma, they brought John Mateer back a little bit early because he really struggled in this game. First came back from a wrist injury, threw 3 interceptions. Texas defense and a little bit of Arch Manning, and that's all they needed. Texas wins 23-6 over the 6th-ranked Sooners. Oklahoma's first loss of the season. They're now 5-1, 1-1 in the SEC. Texas goes to 4-2 and 1-1. Texas back in the rankings after this win. They're 21st. As they'll go to Kentucky this week. Corey is back now. Hopefully everything's okay there. And I was going back. I started with this game. We're going to go back to it because you wanted to talk about this, the Georgia-Auburn game. And I watched this game too. They should have been up 17-0, but it was called a fumble. First, they got over the plane, and then they called it a fumble. Georgia ended up getting the ball at the 1-yard line and then going down and kicking a field goal before the half, and then that turned the game around. Auburn did nothing in the second half.
And if that game 17-0, Georgia may have come back, but that's a completely different game by that call. And
that's true.
If it was,
and they probably score again too.
I guess they blew the whistle. That's why. But a lot of people are like, well, if they called it a fumble, why wasn't Georgia able to return it for a touchdown? Because the young man that picked up the ball ran it back for a touchdown, but I guess they called it a dead ball.
Dead, yeah.
But Auburn, no excuses because look what they did. I'm sure you talked about this. What they did in the second half.
No, again, 40 yards, 3 first downs. Jackson Arnold was awful. 0-6 on third down. Georgia's defense dominated, but like you said, not only would it have been 17-0, but who knows? Auburn probably doesn't get shut out in the second half.
Right.
They at least score something. If they score something, because this game was 13-10 for a long time. Georgia got a late touchdown to make it 20-10. But yeah, I think that game did change on that play. And the way that's going, I don't think Hugh Freeze is going to make it out of this season for Auburn. They're 0-3 in the SEC now.
Because every team is firing their coach now left and right. They talked about coaches on the hot seat, and I heard Hugh Freeze, and I heard Billy Napier. I've heard a handful of coaches now that are on the hot seat, and especially in the SEC where you have to win.
Yeah, there are a lot of them, and we were just talking about Texas and Oklahoma. Oklahoma comes in unbeaten. They have all the momentum. Texas comes in off a loss to Florida. They're struggling. But we kind of talked about this. You said last week John Mateer was going to be back for Oklahoma. He just wasn't ready. I mean, they probably should not have played him in that game, because if they play another quarterback, they probably win in this game, because it wasn't like Arch Manning had a huge game. But Texas defense, they had a punt return for a touchdown. Texas just their defense was enough to win this game.
Well, I kept hearing on the satellite radio that Mateer's going to come. He may be back for the Texas game, but likely he'll come back like the next week.
He only missed 2 weeks.
Right. So it's way too soon after coming off the end of the surgery.
Yeah, and it did not look right. He did not look right that whole game. Threw 3 interceptions, really killer for Oklahoma. So they get their first loss of the season in that game. We talked about Texas A&M and Florida. Aggies go to 6-0 with a win. Ole Miss winning. Alabama, Missouri. This is a really good game. A noon game on Saturday. Missouri had the ball late with a chance to tie or win the game, and then unfortunately they threw an interception.
Yeah.
But Alabama's won 5 in a row since the FSU loss. They're 3-0 in the SEC, 5-1 overall. Back in the top 10. Missouri's first loss, they go to 5-1, 1-1. Ty Simpson, 200 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Alabama has turned it around, no doubt.
And Missouri finally gets to lead Missouri this week.
And then, you know what? They actually played pretty well in this game, except for their quarterback threw a couple picks. But Missouri was tough in this game. I give them credit. But, yeah, they actually are finally –
6 straight home games.
Who do they play? They're going on the road.
They go to Auburn.
Auburn. That's right. So their first game on the road here in 2025, and it comes in week 8 of the season. So, yeah, that's great. This was an ugly game Saturday night. LSU 20, South Carolina 10. Both these teams were getting into the red zone and turning the ball over all night, it seemed like. Garrett Nussmeier did throw for 254 yards, 2 touchdowns. LSU 5-1, 2-1 in the SEC. South Carolina 3-3, 1-3. But this game was kind of ugly.
Yeah, thank God LSU's got a really good defense, because their offense right now is struggling.
Yeah, it is. And they are they go to Vandy this week.
Yeah.
This is going to be, I mean, this might be in our picks, I'm sure. I'm actually leaning towards taking Vandy in that game, the way things look now. But Vandy was off last week too. But, yeah, I'm with you. LSU is not – they just don't look right. That defense has been able to win some games. But this was a really good ball game too. Tennessee, Arkansas, tied at 17-all. Tennessee outscored Arkansas 10-0 in the third quarter. That was enough for the 34-31 win. Tennessee goes to 5-1, 2-1. Arkansas now 2-4 and 0-2. Their first game under interim coach Bobby Petrino. And right away we see the offense played a lot better for Arkansas with Petrino back as the coach.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel sorry for Arkansas, because they're losing a bunch of close games. The Ole Miss game, fumble. The Memphis game, a fumble. Tennessee game, you lose by 3.
Yeah.
You nearly came back and won the game. I mean, it's not like they're getting blown out.
Except for Notre Dame.
Except for Notre Dame. They're losing 3 close games.
Yeah, they are. That's a good point. But they have yet to win one, and it costs Sam Pittman his job. But all right, other scores: South Florida, the number 24th ranked Bulls hand North Texas their first loss of the year. This game was Friday night, 63-36. South Florida 5-1, North Texas 5-1. Tied 21-all at the half. South Florida outscores them in the second half. Actually, it's 42-15 in the second half. And 63 points. Drew Mestamaker, 30-48, 326 yards and 2 touchdowns for North Texas.
I couldn't think of their mascot.
Mean Green.
Mean Green.
Okay. Yeah, whatever that is. Byron Brown, 22-28, 245 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 82 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. He's tough. Good quarterback. USF, I only lost still to Miami.
Yeah, I heard today they were,
they're in the running
between them and Memphis. Those are the 2 teams that'll get that group of 5.
Yeah, the bid. That's right. Group of 5 bid and the college football playoff. It's possible for USF the way they're playing. UNLV 51-48 over Air Force. That's how they play every week. UNLV 6-0 and 2-0. Air Force 1-5, 0-4. That in the Mountain West. UNLV stays unbeaten with Dan Mullen.
Mountain West, where nobody plays defense.
Nobody plays defense. UNLV doesn't either, but they've scored enough points to win so far. Tulane 26, East Carolina 19. It says Tulane rallies back to stun East Carolina. I didn't see this game, so I don't know what the stunning part was, but they're 5-1 now, 2-0. Tulane.
I think this game was out East Carolina too. I think
Tulane's 5-1, 2-0 in the American. East Carolina 3-3, 1-1. You mentioned Navy; they also survived Temple 32-31 to go to 6-0, 4-0 In the American, Temple falls to 3-3 and 1-1. Navy, one of those unbeaten's, already bowl eligible, so we'll see where they head for a bowl game this December. Meanwhile, San Diego State goes to 5-1 and 2-0 in the Mountain West. No problem. Nevada 44-10. Nevada struggling this year, 1-5, 0-2 in the conference. Hawaii, I guess
we're on a roll.
Was this game in Honolulu?
It was in Hawaii, yeah.
Yeah, Hawaii. They won 44-26 against Utah State. Good win for them. Micah Alejado, 34-54, 413 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Rainbows are 5-2 and 2-1, while Utah State.
And I mentioned this one back in week 1 or week 0 when they beat Stanford at home on the game with CBS. That guy is just a redshirt freshman doing these kind of things
for Hawaii. Yeah, that's impressive. So always fun to see those late night games in Honolulu. And Boise State gets a win over New Mexico, 41-25. They're now 4-2, 2-0 in the Mountain West. They will play UNLV this week, so that'll be a big one. Both teams unbeaten in the conference. New Mexico falls to 3-3 and 0-2. As we said last week, we had games last night on Tuesday. So this is a different this week we get here. We've already had some games, and good ball game between Liberty and New Mexico State. New Mexico State's 47-yard field goal. The buzzer goes wide left. Liberty wins 30-27, 3-4 and 2-1 in the Sun Belt. New Mexico State falls to 3-3, and 1-2. Meanwhile, Arkansas State, a 38-yard field goal at the buzzer. They stunned South Alabama 15-14. Arkansas State 3-4, 2-1 in the South Sun Belt. South Alabama 1-6, 0-3. And FIU gets an upset at Western Kentucky, 25-6. Western Kentucky's first loss in the Sun Belt, 5-2, 3-1. FIU goes to 3-3 and 1-1. So those are your games Tuesday night. Tonight we have Delaware and Jacksonville State going on. Jacksonville State was winning last we checked.
I got an update.
UTEP and Sam Houston are also playing as well. CBS Sports Network, Delaware, Jacksonville State on ESPN2.
Jacksonville State's up 35-12 in the third quarter. And UTEP, early in the fourth quarter, is up on Sam Houston 21-17.
Close game. Sam Houston trying to get their first win of the season, believe it or not. And then only one game tomorrow night, 7:30 on ESPN. Will Corey be tuning into this game? Tulsa and East Carolina. I'll be at a high school football game.
Well, I will, because I can't watch the NFL game. I tried to watch it.
Prime?
I tried to watch the NFL game. Well, we do, but it's only in one room, but it's not in the main room, so it's really complicated to convert it to the main room.
I don't know if you really want to watch Steelers and Bengals, Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers anyway tomorrow.
Well, no, I wanted to watch the who was it that played last week?
Last week it was the Eagles and Giants.
Yeah, I couldn't watch it
Thursday night. Oh, really? That was a upset for the Giants. But Tulsa and East Carolina, though, that's tomorrow night, 7:30 on ESPN. By the way, again, we had some technical difficulties. This is why we're you can see us here on this. There's Corey on the one little camera here. Marty, Pallman, Corey Davis. Our high school show, Mike Rideout, joined us tonight for that. You can check that out as well. The North Florida Sports Talk Network. But it's interesting. Okay, sorry, I thought I was pausing. Yeah, as we look ahead, we talked about it. We're at BFO Brady's in Stark, located on US 301 across from Bradford High School. And next week, again, we got to talk about this. Next week will be on Monday. That's the schedule for now. Mm-hmm. I'll be at a volleyball game next Wednesday night for Florida. So we will be here Monday night from 8 to 9 for high school football, 9 to 10 for college. And we'll have a big Bucks and Lions Monday night game going on during that. So that's a big one between those two.
Have you noticed I've been doing 2 Monday night games every week now?
Yeah, almost every week. They did it last week with or this week with the Bears and the Commanders and the Falcons and the Bills. Yeah. And then the week before, the Jets and Dolphins played, and the Bengals and the Broncos.
I remember the first week they would always do 2 games, but
let's see, they're doing the 7 and 8 o'clock thing, which I don't like. Now this week they're doing 2. 7 o'clock is Bucks Lions. 10 o'clock out west is Texans Seahawks. Now that's okay. Give me 2 Monday night games, one against the other. Don't put them on at the same time. It's a little strange, but anyway, that's just another problem that only us football fans have to worry about. But speaking of back to the college football schedule, this is a big game Friday night. This could be, if Miami's going to have a slip up, this might be one of them. Louisville and Miami, 7 o'clock ESPN2. You got to look like you think Louisville might. What is that? 1?
That's
L. Not for Louisville. Loser, for Louisville.
L for Miami and L for Louisville.
we'll see. It's in Miami, but yeah, I think this is one of their tougher games coming down the stretch now as they head towards an undefeated regular season. ESPN2, 7 o'clock, Louisville and Miami. 8 o'clock on Fox, Nebraska and Minnesota. The Huskers back in the rankings, travel up to Minnesota. 9 o'clock, CBS Sports Network, San Jose State and Utah State. And then at 10:30 on ESPN, he still got his job. Man, there were a lot of rumors last week flying around Bill Belichick. North Carolina had a bye week. They travel all the way out west to play Cal Friday night, 10:30 on ESPN. But if they don't win this game, who knows? But
right.
But they have Belichick said he is planning on he's going to stay there. He's the coach. North Carolina is denying anything. Who knows? But those were a lot of rumors flying around last week. A lot of those have been going on lately as well. All right, Saturday. Big game at noon, as I said, Georgia Tech and Duke. The noon game on ESPN, which means I got to be up for another noon game on Saturday. See Georgia Tech play. Although last week they played at 3:30, so it wasn't as bad. But they will be at Duke. That again, this both teams unbeaten in the ACC. The winner of this game probably will play for the ACC title later in the year. So,
yeah, I mean,
very, very possible.
Quite possible, yeah.
Quite possible. And Miami is in there as well, of course. So
and SMU.
Also SMU, yeah. Washington at Michigan. Interesting game at noon on Fox. Michigan coming off the loss at USC, returns home for the Washington Huskies. Are playing well. Arizona at Houston noon on FS1. Baylor and TCU at noon on ESPN2. TCU has been struggling, losing to Kansas State last week. The I think it's 12:45. Oklahoma at South Carolina is a 12:45 game. So Oklahoma, we'll see if they can get back on the winning track as they travel to Columbia, South Carolina. The noon game is LSU at Vanderbilt. That's a big one. And I think that one is on
ABC, probably.
ABC. Oklahoma, South Carolina is on SEC Network. Yeah. West Virginia at UCF, 1 o'clock on TNT. TNT.
Yeah.
Right, they have
Seems weird to see that.
I know. CBS. Ohio State at Wisconsin, 3:30 on CBS. This game may have looked good maybe back months ago. Oof. That's going to be a rough one. Meanwhile, over on ABC, I'll be watching this game instead. Ole Miss and Georgia. That'll be huge. Texas A&M and Arkansas. This game, I believe, usually is in Dallas, I think.
Yeah, but for some reason this year it's not.
It's in Arkansas?
It's in Arkansas.
Okay. Yeah, that game usually is played at Jerry World every year. This year, Texas A&M is at Arkansas. So 3:30 on ESPN. This is the big one. SMU at Clemson, 3:30 on ACC Network. Clemson, of course, coming in 2-2 in the ACC. They need to keep winning. SMU is unbeaten in the ACC, and they have not lost a game in the ACC. In fact, in 2 years, they lost the championship game to Clemson last year at the buzzer. So that is their only real loss in the ACC. Texas Tech at Arizona State, 4 o'clock on Fox. Memphis UAB, 4 o'clock ESPN2. Florida hosting Mississippi State. That'll be a 4:15 kickoff on SEC Network. It's a strange time. But that'll be on SEC Network. Homecoming for the Gators. See how that goes. Mississippi State coming
Well,
in.
I think because you had a 12:45.
Oh, that's because that's what the SEC Network's doing now.
Yeah.
That's right. 6:30 on the CW. Washington State making a trip again cross country to play Virginia in a non-conference game. And then on Saturday night, you got Missouri Auburn. I think that's the 7. Maybe Texas Kentucky's at 7. Missouri Auburn's at 7:45. One's on SEC Network.
Right.
Yeah, it's just TBA here. Oh yeah, I forgot. 7:30 ABC. Another big game on Saturday night. 3rd Saturday in October. Tennessee at Alabama. Always a big ball game. Pitt at Syracuse. 7:30 on ACC Network. Utah and BYU. That's a big one. 8 o'clock on
Huge
Fox.
game.
Yeah, big rivalry. Can BYU stay unbeaten there against Utah? At home, 8 o'clock on Fox. Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, that might get ugly, 8 o'clock on ESPN2. Cincinnati's been playing well, unbeaten in the Big 12. And FSU and Stanford, that'll be the 10:30 game on ESPN. Somebody's got to win an ACC game, so we'll see how that goes with the Noles having to go out west to play at Stanford Park. All right, that's a look at our schedule of games this week.
Now it's time for the picks.
Picks time, and Corey has
Marty, you were 14-6 last week. I was 12-8, and it literally came down to the BYU Arizona game. If Arizona holds on, we're tied for the week, and I think we're either tied or I'm one game ahead in overall. But as it turns out, BYU won, So BYU. Marty, you are 71-43. I am 70-44. So you're one game
close.
ahead.
Close. Yeah. Well, we're doing a lot better after the way the season started, but so yeah.
Mississippi
close.
State of Florida.
1, 2, 3. Hold on. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I count 22.
Okay.
A lot of games. All right, let's go. Mississippi State of Florida. Okay. Well, obviously the Gators. It's hard to tell, but this game is at home. It's homecoming. Mississippi State has played well in Starkville, but they got blown out on their one true road game at A&M. I think the Gators are going to win this game. I do. I think Florida's going to win at home. I think they'll have enough to win this game. Whether it saves Billy Napier's job, I don't know. Honestly, I don't really want Billy Napier to stay the coach, so it might be easier for Florida to lose, but I'll pick the Gators here.
Not so fast.
Really?
I picked.
You're the one who 2 weeks ago was giving me a hard time about picking them against Texas. You picked Florida. I picked Texas. Now you're going to tell me they're not going to beat Mississippi State.
Well, because I think we all want what needs to happen.
I agree, but I can't.
And Mississippi State's really good. I mean, I saw them play against Tennessee. They're not a fraud. They are really legit.
Yeah.
So I like Mississippi State.
Okay. I may end up kicking myself next week.
All right, Missouri at Auburn.
Missouri at Auburn. Yeah. I just don't see Auburn getting any better. I mean, it just seems like they are stuck in the mud there. And the second half against Georgia last week didn't really help them. Missouri isn't bad. Again, this is their first road game of the season, but I'll take Missouri.
Okay. I'm going with Auburn. They're playing at home. They played Georgia really, really well in the first half.
First in high school. I'm going first again.
Because you got the lead. So.
Oh, really? That's how it works now?
Yeah. I got to try to catch you.
Yeah. Okay. You're only one game back.
Yeah.
You're right. You got Auburn. Okay.
And so far we're 2 for 2 because I got the opposite.
Yeah. You got Auburn.
Yeah, I got Auburn.
Okay. Yeah. Again, that's the first road game for Missouri. Texas and Kentucky. It's hard to figure out Texas, but it's not hard to figure out Kentucky. Kentucky's not very good. Texas wins the game. I know it's in Lexington. I'll take the Longhorns.
Same here. I'm going with Texas.
Yeah. Oklahoma, South Carolina. Interesting game. The Sooners head east after the loss to Texas. We'll see if John Mateer's better this week. South Carolina just also a team that can't score. They're having a hard time in these games. It was expected to be a better year for them. Games in Columbia, South Carolina, but I'm taking the Sooners, Oklahoma, to win that game.
Yeah, I agree. I can't trust South Carolina, even though it is at home.
Okay. LSU Vanderbilt. Okay, I think I said this earlier about this game. This is a noon game in Nashville, so it's an 11 a.m. start. Vanderbilt comes in. He's showing a V. You can't see it, but
you know you want to go with them.
Vanderbilt's only loss was to Bama. I do want to go with them, and I am. I'm going to take Vanderbilt to win this game in Nashville against LSU. It was a close game last year in Baton Rouge. I think they win. I think Vandy wins this game.
I will take LSU.
Really? I'm still surprised.
I like LSU defense.
I do too. They just don't score a lot of points, and I think Vandy at home will find a way. But A&M at Arkansas, Arkansas looked better last week against Tennessee. This A&M team, they're legit. That defense is really good. Mike Elko is a heck of a coach. I know the game's in Fayetteville, but I'm taking the Aggies again.
Same here.
Yeah,
can't disagree.
Tennessee at Alabama. Here we go. Boy, we're getting into some good games now. Tennessee, they're a team that, to me, has not looked great, especially defensively. They gave a lot of points to Georgia, a lot of points to Mississippi State. They look a lot of points to Arkansas. Alabama, I think Alabama's right at the ship. And Alabama normally, they lost to Tennessee last year, which is rare. I think I'm taking Alabama to win this game at home. I think the Tide have Tennessee's number, and they're going to win this game.
Well, I'm not surprised because you said earlier that you thought Tennessee was a fraud, basically. So, roll Tide.
Yeah, Alabama. Ooh, Ole Miss at Georgia. I'm going to have to spend some time on this one. You know how much I like Lane Kiffin, and I really want him to be the next coach in Gainesville. They were blown out 2 years ago in Athens. They went to Georgia and got blown out. But that that Georgia team was better than they are now. Ole Miss, I think, is better than they were 2 years ago. They beat Georgia last year pretty soundly in what's it called? Oxford. Ole Miss. Every bit of me always says to take the home team in a situation, but I'm going with Ole Miss because I am not convinced Georgia is a very good team. Even after the win against Auburn, I thought they looked kind of pedestrian.
I think Georgia plays really good defense, but their offense is suspect.
Yeah.
And Ole Miss is going to be really hard to stop with that offense. I'm going hotty toddy.
Wow, you're taking Ole Miss too, huh?
Yeah.
All right. We'll surprise some of these, but Louisville, Miami, Friday night. Well, I think Corey already made his kind of said where he's going with this one. But here's the thing. I would love to take Louisville, but the fact of the matter is Miami is good. They're a good team, and they've even been better at home this year. So, I think Louisville's going to give them a game, and I'm taking the Canes.
Not so fast.
Okay.
Louisville.
Your funeral. All right.
Louisville's on a roll. I like Louisville.
Canes Canes. I'll say that once.
Okay.
One time only. I'm not really rooting for Miami, but if Louisville wins, I won't be too disappointed. We can give you that one, but yeah, I like the Canes at home. All right, ooh, what is this game here? North Carolina at Cal. What are you doing?
Well, they're not really. They're neither really great.
Yeah, but North Carolina's bad.
I try to do every ACC and SEC.
Oh, okay, you're right. North Carolina is bad. And this is a long trip out west. I think Cal's good enough to beat North Carolina. I'll take Cal.
Same here.
Yeah, at home. All right, Pitt and Syracuse. Syracuse has been bad, too. They got blown out by Duke. They got blown out by SMU. Pitt comes in off a win at FSU. I'm taking the Pitt Panthers this week. I didn't take them last week. I'm going with them this week.
I'm rolling with them this year.
Okay, Pitt. SMU at Clemson. Well, has Clemson righted the ship after – and they lost at home to Syracuse, which that loss looks even worse. I've won 2 in a row, but that was against North Carolina and BC. SMU comes in. It's tough going in. It is tough going into Death Valley and winning there. But what the hell? SMU. I'll go with the Mustangs.
You stole my thunder. I was gonna not so fast, my friend.
I figured you were, but I don't know. I'm not taking Clemson anymore for a while. All right, here we go. Georgia Tech at Duke. Hey, Corey's not wearing his Georgia Tech sweatshirt tonight.
It's actually right there.
Right here. And I don't wear the Georgia Tech sweatshirt, but I am a Georgia Tech guy as well. And I'm not going to get off the Ramblin' Wreck wagon, the bandwagon, I guess you could say. Georgia Tech. I'll take Georgia Tech even at Duke. I like Yellow Jackets to stay unbeaten.
Do we even need to ask?
Yeah, I know. You got Georgia Tech. It's been a heck of a basketball game. Ooh, FSU Stanford. I don't have any idea what to think about FSU anymore. It's the trip west. Stanford's not good at all.
10:30 kickoff, which means really
It's 10:30 Eastern.
7:30
Pacific, but it's 10:30 back in the east. Yeah, where FSU is. Yeah, I know, but that FSU isn't the worst team in the ACC. Stanford's not good. I'm going to take FSU.
Yeah, even on a miserable FSU team right now, they're better than Stanford.
Yeah, Knowles.
Yeah.
Washington at Michigan. I like this game. I like this game in the Big Ten. Washington only lost in the Big Ten to Ohio State. Michigan lost to last week to USC. Michigan comes back home. That's the difference to me. Washington's got to go back to the east towards the Midwest. It's is it a noon kickoff too? I believe, yeah. Yeah, in the big house, I'll take Michigan to win this game.
I'm going Washington.
Not so fast, really.
I was really impressed with what their
Okay.
quarterback did last week.
Okay. Yeah, they beat. Who did they beat? I remember this already.
Rutgers.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but I'll take Michigan. He's got Washington. Nebraska and Minnesota. This is a Friday night game. Nebraska's playing well. I like the way they look. They go to Maryland. They win. Their only loss was been a close one at home to Michigan. Minnesota looked awful against Ohio State. They had to come back to beat Purdue last week. I think Nebraska wins at Minnesota on Friday.
Row the boat. Go Gophers.
What? Oh, good grief. Okay, good luck. Row the boat? Is that their
That's their motto.
Gophers? Okay. I see he was already written down the next one, and it won't take long to go over this one. Michigan State at Indiana. Well, Indiana's on fire. Michigan State is 0-3 in the Big Ten. Indiana's going to win that game at home. How often can we sit here and say Indiana is definitely a big favorite in a Big Ten game? Unless things have changed.
Right.
Speaking of that, Ohio State, Wisconsin, we don't need to talk about. Buckeyes.
Yeah, no shocker.
Yeah. Arizona at Houston. Houston lost one game to Texas Tech. Arizona coming on with that tough loss to the BYU. You know what? I'm going to go Cougars in this one at home. I like Houston.
Yeah, I mean, having to go to Texas and play, even though they're not really far apart, I think Houston is. Well, they're not undefeated, but I think they're like undefeated in the conference right now.
No, they have one loss.
One loss.
Texas Tech beat them. No, wait.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Texas Tech beat them.
Houston.
Okay. Baylor at TCU. I don't know. Both teams have been kind of up and down. TCU getting upset by K-State last week. The only difference here, I'll say TCU at home wins.
Same here, because last week's game was in Manhattan, so it wasn't at home. But bounce back win for the Horned Frogs.
Horned Frogs. Utah, BYU. Yes.
Good
Yeah. Battle of Utah. Here we go. Utes, the Cougars. Well, BYU has been able to stay undefeated. Looked like they were going to end that streak to Arizona last week. Utah beat up Arizona State. Only loss for them is to Texas Tech. This game seems like it's always unpredictable. Honestly, BYU's at home. I like the Utes. I'm going to take Utah.
I thought you were really going to go with BYU.
I kind of learned my lesson about Utah.
I'm going with Utah as well.
Okay, and finally, Texas Tech at Arizona State. So Arizona State gets blown out at Utah. And by the way, I think of a message about this Saturday and you never responded. Arizona State had Jeff Sims playing quarterback on Saturday night from Jacksonville, who played for Georgia Tech. His first game at Georgia Tech was in 2020. The dude is still in college football. And not surprisingly, he got blown out by Utah. And I don't know if Sam Levitt's back this week. I mean, they missed him big time. But that being said, either way, I think Texas Tech's good. They're just blowing out teams. And even though this is in Tempe, I'll take the Red Raiders of Texas Tech.
Yeah, it's hard to go get Texas Tech with what they're doing right now, blowing everybody out and undefeated.
Jeff Sims is so old. I mean, in college football so long. He played at Sandalwood when they were good.
Yeah.
Before they lost 28 in a row. He was and he's already been at Georgia Tech. He got run out of there because he struggled. He went to – what's the school he went in between? Let's look this up the other day. I can't remember anymore. He's been at 3 schools.
Yeah.
And still at Arizona State. But anyway, all right, those are our picks for the week. We will look over those again next week. And, again, thanks for tuning in tonight. It's a little bit after 10:15. I apologize, but we started late. But we were at least able to get on the air and back 8 o'clock for the high school football next Monday, which is the 20th. And then the following week we'll be back to Thursday. So, all right, thanks a lot. Apologize for technical difficulties. I want to thank Philip Crutchfield for his help here. Mike Rideout for being with us during the high school show earlier. For Corey Davis, I'm Marty Pallman. So long, and good Gridiron Report here at Beefo Brady's and Start on North Florida Sports Talk. Cool.